This one's called, here, the frame persuasion.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Persuasion. Obviously, we know what that means. What do you think I'm going at here? Right? I want to pursue them and move them. Pursue them, move them. Right? Here's something I think that's important, which I think why some of these are valuable, is the first piece of that, as I must get the buy-in. I must get persuasion and the buy-in. And it's something we've gotten pretty good about, but what do you think that means? Step number one is the buy-in.
Yes.
To what?
I guess to your, basically our opening. They have to open the mind, open the gate of the mind.
Open the gate of the mind, so, which is also our what? You're right on this. Intention. So the key word here is intention. Here's where it's crazy to think about this at a deeper level. So a lot of people, they don't get buy-in to what? The intention. So you ever had clients you sit down with, no matter what you say, they're not engaged, and they're not paying attention to you, they're looking away, or they're not really answering your questions the right way? You can tell there's a disconnect. Why is the disconnect there?
They have no intent on working with.
They don't have any buy-in to our intention of what today's about. So today's about, if I'm listening right, hey, I'm going to learn about you, what you guys are looking for is most important. You all go through, explain what we do, right? That's that intent statement. Same thing from the intent statement on the buy side. They have to have buy-in before the buy-in, if that makes sense. And we got to get very intentional about that. And so step one's in buy-in. We have to have intention, right? And it's got to be very clear. The initial attention needs to have buy-in from them. What does that mean there? Yes, I want you guys to take away from this your intention, right, of the buy is separate pitch in itself. Yeah, exactly right. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I got to get them to green and make sure they're in the green, which is in forward. Your intention is your pitch in itself. If they resist this process, they will not allow you to pursue them. So if I don't make sure they're in green, and here's the deal, what makes me be able to bring this up? I got to get much more intentional about my intention, about my buy-in or my intent statement. I need to have more sizzle in it, more energy in it, more certainty in it. And here's why we're here today, and here's what our goal is. Here's why on this phone call today, here's what our goal is. Here's why on the virtual, presentation or appointment, here's what our goal and our outcome is. And I want them to be clear and understand what that is. Most people are misguided, don't even set an intent statement outside of here. Right? We're pretty good about that, but if most places, most realtors, they don't even take time to set intent statements and really open up that gate of the mind I talked about to get us to that point. Right? Super, super important of that, right? Very, very important. It also must be absolutely truthful. This is important too, I talked about, right? If you ever had a telemarketer call and you can just tell in their voice that is not worth just hanging back up, or their intent is not real, they need to feel that your intention is real. What do you think that means? Their intention's real. They need to feel through your tonality that you truly care and you're trying to help. Which means what? I need to be purposeful about what? My energy. It must feel natural. I want it to feel natural in that, hey, look, it's conversational, but they don't really know what I'm doing and set it in frame of my intention of what's going to happen today. And so when I'm going back and listening to my recordings or being aware of it, go back and look at, understand, hey, look, how intentional was I for the initial buy-in statement to get buy-in for the buy-in? What did my energy sound like? What did my certainty sound like? What was my connection to him? And did it feel natural? And I wrote and studied this that energy is very, very important. How I look and how I feel in person. Do I come in a way that's loving and they feel that? But I also have certainty for them to feed off of. But am I really truly getting the buy-in from them? And what's their energy look like when I say it? There's ways and words that can really matter. We talk about on Thursdays when we go through a lot of times in our reviews, and I say words matter. And so some words can frame up a different emotion than other words, so it's important for me to make sure that, hey, look, my initial piece here is getting the right buy-in for the intention. You guys with me on that? Super, super important. Second piece here is induce. What do you think we got to induce? What are we inducing here? Keep going. Pain. Everything we do about that process is inducing pain, right? in the art of persuasion, you must induce pain. We talked about this before. What percent has to be on pain? We want 90% of our energy and time spent on pain. It's super important. It's something I've really been thinking about a lot in studying this past few weeks, right? So 90% is about pain. A lot of people will tell you that you're inducing, right, an experience, or you're inducing them to doing something, but ultimately, I got to induce them and take them to a place of pain, which is a problem for a lot of people. Why? Most are scared to do that, right? It's your job, right? You must talk about that. You must have the uncomfortable conversations. Why?
That's what makes people move, is the pain.
Yes, the pain always makes people move versus pleasure. Super, super important from that scenario in that, right? It's an idea that becomes theory in terms of that, but anything else usually manipulation. Meaning I'm just trying to figure out where they're at and find a solution and match it up versus taking them to the true pain of what's happening and them not making a decision. What's pain been like of them watching prices go up for the past 2 years and not buying anything and not have a beach house and not be able to come when they want to, or whatever it is? What's the pain of being stuck back in Ohio when it's cold through another winter that's coming up? Whatever it is, I want to make sure I'm going through that. I got to be the part to have the deliverance of the pit and the pain. And here's the thing. What type of pit and pain am I talking about? This is a good aha for a lot of people that we haven't covered. What pain are we talking about? All right, so pain, number one, of theirs. Here's another one we miss a lot. What is the pain of the industry?
Crappy realtors.
Yes. Seller side. Hey, look, there's a lot of pain in the industry right now. You know why? Because the market shifted, and guess what happened?
Well, homes aren't selling instantly anymore.
Yeah, homes aren't selling anymore. So now you have a friend who's got their license 3 weeks ago, who's got your house listed with some cell phone photos. Guess what? That shit ain't selling. It's a major pain in the marketplace right now. So guess what I'm doing? I'm inducing that pain, talking about that with them. Hey, look, guess what? We're getting blown up right now with sellers from other companies, people who are freaking out because their house isn't selling because their agent doesn't know what the f*** they're doing. But a year ago, they can get away with that. Guess what? Now they can't. And so we love that. And guess what? I'm inducing that pain of the marketplace, not just them. So for me to do that, guess what I need to be aware of? The pains in the marketplace. So what's your buyers or your sellers experiencing in the marketplace due to unexperienced agents, people not know what they're doing? I need to know at a deep, deep level other types of pain. Horror stories, third-party stories, and I induce that through them and their questions if they've had that in that scenario. Like they post all the time with their spouse, and everything's amazing, life's amazing, all things are going great, they love each other, they got the best spouse in the world, and guess what? Next week they broke up. That's your clients. Live in this place of fantasy most of the time, projecting how things are, but ultimately not sharing the true pain of their marriage, true pain of the issues they have that's causing massive problems at home. And so me as a true influencer and a real expert that can help them, I must be willing to go to those darks and those depths and ask the right questions who can do what? Get them out of that highlight reel in their mind. Right? Most of Facebook or those things are the highlight reel of what's really happening. No one really shows the inside of what's actually happening. And so my job as expert to figure out what's going on behind the scenes between those lines, and I induce that pain to what's happening. Hey, what's that done to your marriage of you guys not having that house here for the past 2 years that's been your dream home? Has that created any conflict between you? And guess what? I've got to make sure I cascade that pain. I got to ask the tough questions. Right? You're asking yourself, is there something going on behind the scenes you're not telling me? What's behind the curtains they're not exposing to me? And then number two, I'm asking questions between the lines to understand, hey, look, what's really going on behind here that I can understand? And tell me more about that. And guess what? 2 of the 3 questions might not lead you anywhere, but I get the one question that kind of lights up something. Guess what I'm doing? Push on that pain. I'm going down the rabbit hole. Most people are scared to go down the rabbit hole. But that's how you have clients who love you for 5 or 10 years and send you clients for a long time in terms of referrals, which is important. Third piece of this, get in the mix. What do you think that means? Get in the mix. You must get in the mix. What does that mean? You must get in the muck with them, right? What's the best way to do that? Share your personal pain if you have it. That's connected. And here's the deal. There's a 5. It's got to be very relevant to that scenario. So if you didn't buy a house for a while, you finally bought a house, bless you, whatever it is. You waited too long to buy something, whatever it is. You want to share that scenario and that example for you, which is super, super important. But the overall piece here, right, is that no one wants to experience pain one way. Very important. No one wants to experience pain one way. Second most effective way to do that is what? Share the pain of others who made similar or potential mistakes. So you want to do third-party stories through that. But here's the thing. I got to be very good at understanding and having really good examples of third-party stories. So if I don't have any yet, what do I need to do? Right? Talk to people, be in the huddle, ask things afterwards, whatever it is. Hey, what are some good third-party stories we can have for this? Bring it up on Thursday, somebody can share whatever it is. You want to get good at being able to do that because you want to be able to share the pain of others who made similar mistakes, because no one wants to have pain experienced one way. And I show that care by connecting with them that piece. And the third part here is that misery loves company. I don't necessarily go super negative, but what I do, I let them know that I understand, that I empathize, and I really feel them in their scenario. And I want them to understand that, hey, I'm with you guys, and I truly feel it. No one wants to like somebody who just has everything together, everything's perfect. But most of the time, we just project everything in terms of what it is and don't go deep enough in what that is. Does that make sense? Fourth piece here. You must have unshakable certainty. What that means, unshakable certainty. This is important. Through taking them through this process, what all these are. What does that mean? Yes. Why?
The second they feel like you're off and you're not confident what you're saying, they're off.
Yes. I want your certainty must be so high that nothing penetrates it. No excuse, no objection, no time objection, no whatever it is, that your certainty is so high, nothing penetrates that wall. Very, very, very important. Nothing penetrates that wall because your product and service is so good that you stand with it 100% certainty. And they need to what? Feel it. They need to feel it, right? You're putting a fight for what you know is best for them. And so a lot of times you guys will go through Thursday and people say, hey, look, I can't believe he says those things back. Whatever your objection handler is, you got to be so certain that your service and you're that much better than anybody else that you're willing to fight for it even when they don't know that you can fight for it. Because here's why. I didn't realize this until studying this a lot, is that a lot of people who are testing you subconsciously, they're testing your certainty. They like you, like the scenario, but something just isn't right, and so they're giving these objections, these things to really do what? Test your buy-in and figure you out. They'll do that directly or indirectly by testing your certainty, through questions, through objections, and so I have to be willing to stand with unbreakable certainty here. Now, if I don't have unbreakable certainty, what do? I got to borrow it, but I got to find it too, through role play, through practicing, through belief, and just knowing, hey, look, I've worked my ass off more than anybody else. I'm here early, I stay late. Guess what? I deserve this, and I believe in this product, and I believe in what I'm selling to my clients. That makes sense there? Super, super important there in what that is. Right? Because here's why. They've been told the same thing you're telling them before, and they've been screwed. It's not word for word, but they don't really remember what the last presentation said. They just knew it was some guy or some girl telling them something similar about agency, or about how they operate, about real estate. And so the difference between you and the last guy and the last girl is going to be what? Unshakable certainty. In terms of how I operate, how I am with them in that scenario, right? Very, very important. And so their reaction, the way they look at you, the way they ignore you, right? The way they want to escape from the transaction, that's their way to really test and move away from there. And so every time you see that, what do you got to do? Collide. Right? I must make sure I collide. With certainty, also with love, so not in a battling way, right? But I'll make sure I'm doing that scenario, right? Also, your certainty, let them know there's absolutely no reason to delay, not to move forward today. No reason not to move forward today, what I meant to say in that scenario, right? And here's the deal. Sometimes you have to go above and beyond what people say. Hey, look, I'm here for you guys. I care for you. I'll make sure you're taken care of. You know what? Hey, you can trust me. I give that certainty through words and to them caring and say, look, I know you guys have been through a bad scenario before and a bad agent. I want you to know one thing. Look them in their eyes with absolute certainty and say, hey, you can trust me. I'm going to get us to the finish line. You got my word on that. That's how you get into the signing place where they need to be in that scenario, which is super, super important. Right? Other thing I talked about too, as I mentioned, they're going to test you subconsciously. Right? And the coolest part is you have nothing to hide when you live in a place of truth. That you feel you're good, you outwork everybody else. That's the easiest way to have that certainty, is just be able to run through that place and know who you are, and that you have the work ethic no one else does. Here we know we have the training, right? The systems, the processes in terms of presentation, all that stuff. You just got to back it up here, having the internal certainty. Look at why a lot of people don't make it in the beginning or why it's very difficult for them. They just don't have the certainty needed to really overcome the client.